What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Jets Fishing Adventures, and we are back. September really flew by. I meant to get a video out sometime in the mid of September, but the time just got away from me. I had a lot of stuff that we were trying to do with my family. Mow party was going on. Had a couple of car shows that we went to too. But other than all that, we are back. And in this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 baits for the month of October. October is a very fun month. If you live on Tennessee River or around where I live, you know what that means. The Tennessee River right now, all the grass is getting really, really good fishing. The grass starts kind of matting over, and we call it cheesing. And once those mats go to like the little cheesy aspect, you can catch some really good fish with frogs, with topwater, um, with a bait that we'll talk about in a little while. But October is a great time to fish. The weather is getting a lot cooler, definitely at nights, into the mornings. The lake is not as busy because most of the people have already put up their pleasure boats, and deer season just started. So a lot of the fishermen that are also hunters, they are going into the woods to go hunt. So from now on till March, you'll have a lot less people out on the water, and the fishing can be awesome. I've caught some of my biggest fish in October, and during October, all the bait fish are real small. They school up, so if you catch one bass, you can usually set it in one spot and catch a lot of fish. I like to fish up shallow, as you already know. In October, the fish really push in the back of coves, chasing bait up it, and to me, it's one of my favorite times to fish. But without further ado, let's jump in this video. Alright, just had to spray down with some mosquito repellent. You probably see them flying around. I don't know why, but they're terrible around here. But let's get into number one. Number one, the fish are getting very shallow. They're feeding on bait fish. And there's really no other bait that's better to catch them shallow than a square bill. Now, if you're fishing around grass, fishing with a treble hook will be your absolute worst enemy. But it's a great way to catch a lot of fish, some really good fish. And it's kind of a fun and simple way, if you're not very familiar with bass fishing, to catch fish. Very simple. You just cast it out and retrieve it in. Give it a little bit of, give it some pauses, some jerks every now and then. Give it a little bit more action. And a lot of times that will trigger the bite. This is a reaction style bait. So what the fish are sitting there, they're watching it go by and they react instead of your finesse baits. But this is a KVD hard knocker. I think it's a 1.5. Really good square bill. It's real loud. That's because it's the hard knocker. Has a lot of vibration, and then even the hooks have a little bit when it's going. The hooks give it a little bit of vibration as well. I usually fish this around a lot of rocky areas. Percy Priest is a really good square bill lake around riprap banks. Early in the mornings, the fish are really active chasing the bait fish. So any square bill that is in a bait fish pattern will do. This time of year, the fish can get really, really ultra shallow, like in less than a foot of water. So you could actually look at getting a square bill that only dives a foot. They have some ultra shallow square bills as well. This one dives about 3 to 5. It's just a good all-around rod. Now with this one, you can actually keep your rod tip up and it'll go a little bit shallower. Fishing line also dictates how deep it goes. I got this paired up with 15-pound Tatsu. It's on an SLX MG70 reel. Really like this reel. If you have a smaller square bill, you can cast a mile with it. I got it paired. The rod is a St. Croix Mojo bass. It's a 7'1" medium with a little bit of a faster tip on it. This is a really good rod for square bill fishing. You can get that longer cast, but it's a more accurate cast with the 7 foot. You could probably step it up with about a 7'3" to 7'6", but you lose a little bit of that accuracy. And that's what I'm looking for in a square bill rod, is being able to throw right beside that lay down or right beside that boulder and be able to work it back. But my number one choice is a square bill. A great way to catch fish this time of year, and it's a very simple way. I know a couple of my viewers fish off the bank. This can be kind of a headache if you're fishing off the bank. You can end up losing a lot of them because of treble hooks, but it's a very simple way, a very easy way to catch a bunch of fish, and you can catch some really good fish. All right, my number 2 bait for the month of October. It's somewhat of a sleeper bait nowadays. If you're an older person that's watching this, you'll say, how is this bait a sleeper bait? But in the modern world of bass fishing, it's kind of fallen off the radar a little bit. And that bait is a spinnerbait. Spinnerbaits back in the day used to be huge, and it still is for the most part. But nowadays people are fishing a lot of underspins, swim baits, and the spinnerbait's kind of gotten, not really forgotten, but overshadowed a little bit. It's a great way to catch fish, and it's an awesome way to mimic a little school of fish with these little blades up top. If you had a 2-blade, this is a willow leaf spinnerbait, a double willow, and I don't know the brand of it, but it's really good, really sharp hook. I got it paired up with a Thresher 4.2 from Torn Outdoors, and this little bait right here is really good fishing around laydowns, rock, grass. You just got to kind of keep it above the grass. The reason why I like this bait over a underspin is it's almost a 2-in-1 bait. You can fish it and slow roll it. You can just reel it real slow, or you can burn it on top, wake it, if you will, and it's almost like a wake bait and a top water. So it's kind of versatile in a way that you can fish it depending on how the fish are wanting and how active they are. But like I've said in October, the name of the game is the bait fish. So you want to follow, you want to look around, see where the birds are at, and see where the shad are flickering up on top, the bait fish are. And you just want to go and just start throwing them. How I start off with the spinnerbait, I usually throw it out and just have a kind of a steady retrieve with a little bit of a shake every once in a while. Then I'll slow roll it if I haven't got anything, or if the fish are telling me they want it fast, then I'll just burn it on top of the water. But this is a great way to catch a bunch of fish as well, and it's an easy way, just like the crankbait. You kind of just have to throw it out and reel it back in. The bite is a kind of a fun bite. A lot of times you won't feel the bite. You'll just feel the blades kind of kicking, and then all of a sudden it'll stop and it gets heavier, or the line moves to the left or the right. And if that happens, then set the hook. I got it paired with a Duckett Fishing Jacob Wheeler series. It's a 7-foot medium heavy. You could probably go with a little bit of a like a 7'3", 7'4" rod, but for me this is a good rod. It's a fast action. I got it paired up with 15-pound Seaguar Tatsu, and it's on a Shimano Curado reel. Really good little setup right here. It's a multi-purpose setup, and you know, in a kayak, it's good to have rods that you can do multiple setups with, and it's just a fun rod to catch fish on. But that's my number 2, and it's also a fun way to catch fish and an easy way to catch fish. All right, my number 3 for the month of October, probably don't surprise anybody. It's a chatterbait. You know me, chatterbaits are probably my favorite way to fish. One of my favorite ways. And it's just a fun way to fish. A very aggressive reaction style way to fish. And it's just fun. Plain fun. Easy way. So this is a jackhammer in the golden shiner color. Like I've said previously, bait, bait, bait. These fish this time of year are chasing bait fish. Bluegill also. And You just want to stay after that bait. What I've previously said on the other two, this bait right here works the best in the grass. That's the reason why I use it more, because I like fishing around grass. And the chatterbait's just really famous about fishing around grass. So this is the Z-Man jackhammer. This time of year, the bait is typically kind of smaller. So if you notice that the bait fish are a lot smaller than your jackhammer, switch over to the little Mini Max. This is the Z-Man Mini Max, paired up with a Strike King Rage Tail. Really good little setup. The reason why I pair it up with the Rage Tail is the Rage Tail will actually kind of keep it up. Another bait you can use is the Torin Outdoors Timber Crawl. I actually just ran out of the white ones, so that's why I don't have one on here. That's what I typically run on the bigger jackhammers and the Mini Maxes. But if you're noticing all the bait are a lot smaller, and you're noticing the fish are not going or short striking your bigger jackhammers or your bigger chatterbaits, switch over to the Mini Max and you'll be surprised at how many more bites you'll get, and in most cases how big of a fish they are too. The Mini Max setup, I have a different setup than I do with my bigger jackhammers or chatterbaits. I got it on a Cashin Icon series, 7'3", medium heavy fast. It's got a somewhat of a limber tip, but a real good backbone. The same as what you want on a bigger chatterbait rod. I got paired up with 12-pound Tatsu and with a Tatula SV Daiwa reel. The reason why I have it on 12-pound is it's a little bit of smaller profile, and I'm trying to be a little bit more sneakier with my line, where I don't know, the fish might be line shy, and try to keep it a little less noticeable. A lot of times with the Mini Max, I'm kind of slow rolling it also, so the fish will actually get a better look at it. So that's why I run a little bit smaller line, and it's a smaller hook too. With the bigger jackhammers and chatterbaits, I actually use 15-pound to 17-pound depending on where I'm at. I use a iRod Genesis Stider Snipe with a SLX DC. If you've watched any of my other videos when I talk about a chatterbait, this is one of my favorite rods. It's a real good, the tip's real limber, kind of a moderate action, but the backbone on it is amazing. I will, however, if I'm fishing in really heavy grass, I'll actually switch this reel over to the SLX with a braid, about 30-pound braid. Just being able to rip it out of the grass, it makes it a lot more easier to do that. But this is my favorite setup for a chatterbait. I've caught a lot of big fish on it, and it's a very fun way to catch fish. Chatterbaits are probably my favorite bait to fish, just because it's a very aggressive bite, very aggressive way to fish, and it's a lot of easy. You just cover a lot of water, and this time in October, covering a lot of water can mean putting fish in the boat and not putting fish in the boat. So if you're familiar with my 3-bait videos, I always throw in that 4th bait just to make it a little bit fun. And if you've noticed in this video, I've not talked about a certain bait, and in the month of October, if you live on the Tennessee River, fish it at all, you know what I'm about to say. It is almost a sin to not talk about this bait for the month of October, and that bait is a frog. You have to throw a frog if you're living or fishing the Tennessee River this time of year. If you're not, you've not fished very much, because it's the most fun way to fish. Can be kind of aggravating, not gonna lie. It's about a 60 to 40% hookup ratio, maybe even a 50-50 if you're not using the right reel line setup. It can be even less than that. But this time of year, frog fishing over the matted grass, or the mats, will kind of cheese over, and when that happens, the fishing can be awesome. Any of the Tennessee River does it right now. And it kind of goes all the way from October till maybe the first 2 weeks of November, depending on how our weather goes. But Frog fishing is very fun. I got 3 types of frogs sitting here. I got one, this is the Spro flapping frog. It's kind of a buzz toad. You just throw it out, real easy way to fish. You throw it out and you just reel it back in. And then those tails on the back will kind of plop, give you a little plopping action, like a whopper plopper almost. You just reel it back in, maybe give it a twitch every now and then. And if you get blowed up, the most important thing about a frog, if one blows up on it, don't set the hook as soon as they blow up. Wait 2 or 3 seconds after they blow up and set the hook. If you're practicing, this is how I did it, how I learned how to fish a frog. The time that they blow up, click your reel, click it back. Disengage, click it back, and set the hook. Disengage, click it back, set the hook. Don't do it when you're fishing, but do it while outside practicing. Between that time, that little bit of time, that's the right amount of time to set the hook. I've sat outside and do this all the time, just trying to get that rhythm, and it has helped my frog fishing a lot. The second type of frog is a popping frog. This is a toad thumper. They sell them at Walmart. I'm very, very pleased with this bait. It was like $9 and it walks. Probably the best frog I've ever had to walk. Super easy. I didn't even have to cut the tails. One way to make a frog walk a little bit better is by cutting one side of the tail a little shorter, and that really gives it a better walk. But this is more of a popping frog. It pops. It's just like a popper. So that's your second kind of frog. And then your last type of frog is just your walking type of frog. And if you look, that's the tail of difference. See how that end is a little scooped, and that's a very pointy end. So this is great to just walk around mats, around the heavy stuff. This is kind of more popping around the isolated grass, and the flapping frog is too. You can fish it in real heavy stuff, but the walking frog is more ideal because it sits there and moves a lot of the grass more than a popping frog. But in this month of October, frog fishing is a blast. It can be frustrating, but if you're on a good frog bite, you can stay out there all day and just enjoy the day. It's just amazing. Probably the funnest way to fish. It's my second favorite way to fish, just because it's really, the reason why it's not number one is because it's very frustrating and disappointing. You'll see some giant blow-ups and you'll miss them, and they'll make you go home and you'll really think about them for the rest of the year until you go and fishing the next time and you catch a big one. But it's always that one that got away. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. This weekend is the Tennessee Bass Nation Championship on Guntersville, and you better know I'll be using some frogs. But so be on the lookout for that video next week. Probably do a two-part video. Hopefully I can catch some good fish and hold my defend my 2023 state champion spot. It was on Guntersville last year too, and I've been spending a lot of time down there. You haven't seen any videos of that because that's because of all the racing stuff, and to be honest, I've been kind of scared about showing y'all that because I know a lot of y'all that's watching are people that will be fishing against me. So sorry for that, but be on the lookout next week for those videos and the week after that. And just thank you for watching. And very sorry that I haven't posted anything in September. So we'll see y'all next week.